Welcome back to another episode of Imagination Station Network. We are very, very honoured to have a guest like this on the show. And I did hijack him when he came in. So this is George Farr. And George is the High Sheriff of Northumberland.
I am, yes, absolutely. For
much.
1 year only, I'm afraid.
For a limited time. So we've invited George on. George's an interesting fellow, as are all the guests. But this man, we met when we were helping out. I know we were visiting another project, and George was there, but he asked all the right questions. Somebody who's interested in community and really has a care about it is really up there with oxygen. Mm-hmm. So the idea of the show, George, is that people's creative journey. So it's as much of this as you want to give away and as little as you want. Mm-hmm. The aim of the show is to inspire the generations who are hiding behind the couch. Like when we were talking down the stairs, you know, yes. how does kids, adults, people.
Yes.
So I'll hand it over to you. Just tell us a wee bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a farmer first. As I say, this is a 1 year only job. It's not really a job. I don't get paid. It's completely voluntary. But my goodness, it's worthwhile because you're meeting so many interesting people, and and so many people doing wonderful things that will make you cry sometimes, and you just don't know about how much good some folk are doing until you actually drill down into the various communities that I get to visit all across Northumberland. Just examples. Yesterday I went with the Belford Primary School kids and Bridie and the College Valley opened up to the primary school, and we went for a walk. Miles, actually, I got a sore calf. But anyway, we went miles all over the Cheviots, and the kids were just fantastic, and they loved every minute of it. But and another project, I went yesterday as well to go and see the mountain rescue guys doing river training. Rescuing people out of rivers, and we all got wet, which is marvellous. So every day is something completely different, and I met you at the Berwick Youth Project.
That's right,
and phenomenal work. Deborah doing wonderful work. All John Bell doing wonderful work there, and scooping up people who might have fallen by the wayside one way or another, difficulties at home or whatever. And what an amazing project, offering accommodation for people who might have to escape, and setting them up and a bit of education, counselling, another wonderful project. But there are a lot of projects around Northumberland and probably around Britain, but I only know about Northumberland at the moment. But my day job's actually really, I'm a farmer, and I'm only lucky that I can do the High Sheriffing because my son has come home to help out, and he's just taken the whole thing away from me, and the whole project is working so much better without me. So that's good. But ultimately, I'm a mucky hand farmer. We have sheep and cattle and crops, and so it's a slightly different role that I've got at the moment.
Brilliant. Like, it's interesting, you know, because like people say, "Oh, High Sheriff of Northumberland," and you have that persevere that somebody is. Oh, that's certain. But you're as we say, you're a grafter in behind the scenes, and that's inspirational in itself. Giving up your time and putting the other stuff in. I'm glad you said, because a lot of people just assume that jobs are paid for, and you take pride in this job. It's nice, even speaking to you when you were down the stairs, it's nice to have somebody like yourself in that chair, and I imagine that's why you were picked, because of who you are and what you do. And as I said to you earlier, people like you. We don't do a lot of homework on people before the show, but we do like it when people are complimented.
Well, that's very nice of you to say that, but there's a nominations committee, and so 5 years ago, for some reason or other, I was nominated. But some people are cruelly. So often the High Sheriff gets to wear the High Sheriff outfit, and I don't know if you've seen the High Sheriff outfit. Yeah, it's a bit funny, but anyway, I was nominated because I have nice calves.
Is that your farm animals or you actually have nice calves?
Calves. They look good in tights, but so that's the real reason why I got asked.
Right. Hey, listen, it's getting the job and actually doing what it says is the thing that matters to people, doesn't it? That the real people getting out there and showing that there's a branch that you can actually help while you're down there. And again, we're not getting into too much detail, but even what we're discussing down the stairs, for somebody like me, it's important that there's people like you out there in the world, because without you, then how can somebody else, which will lead me into my next question, like how would somebody see you in the panel board to know that that you are there, George, and you have the somebody somewhere along the line who's voted for you has seen what you get up to, and you have something that you don't see.
Well, there are a number of really, really excellent high sheriffs before me. I mean, I'm standing on the shoulders of some amazing people, and everybody's been always community minded. Whether they've been working originally as JPs, magistrates, they've all had something that they've been selected for. You know, we've just been very lucky with people like that, and naturally I'm going to let everybody down by not being as good as they are. But there's some phenomenal former high sheriffs, and it's not just Northumberland, around the country. I keep tabs on other people and how hard they work, and you see it in their Instagram feeds, and you know, how do they find the time to do the Instagram feed, even because they're busy doing something else? It's remarkable.
Social media minefield.
Yeah, I'm learning. I know nothing about social media.
It is tough, isn't it? It is tough. But the fact is, you're willing to learn. Again, another quality.
Yes,
but
children help. My children.
The quality that you find on the social media is like, it's hard, because you can create a world there that doesn't really exist as such. But when you meet people like yourself in person, and you get to see the genuine sincerity, that's nice. So I guess, like, the question we always ask other guests is, what's George's journey? How does we normally ask, like, how does somebody become, I know you've told me that there's a judging process, but how do we inspire a youngster who'd maybe want to be the High Sheriff?
Well, that's a very, very good question. Ultimately, that they also have to have a bit of time in order to commit.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so I'm very lucky in as much that my son come home and has helped. Well, is running a farm, as I say, better, and so I have time. If you're in a full-time job and you say to your boss, "Look, I'm going to be High Sheriff. Is that okay?" They might not say yes. You know, so I'm in an inevitable position that I can actually do this. So that's probably the first and most practical reason as well. So you need to find somebody with time. In terms of inspiring somebody to want to go out and help other people, that's often just in here, and it's part of a background, whether your parents are like that or family are like that. So my father was actually a member of Parliament for years. So that a little bit of that might have rubbed off. I don't know. I don't know. So it's all. I think it's got to be in here, hasn't it? Really, you know.
So you go over a bit of passion. I just know there'll be people who watch and they'll be like, some people, because we've got followers all over the world, they'll be like, oh, what is that? And then they go and they'll Google it and they'll be like, oh. And I've seen some of the events and some of the stuff we go to, so it's nice. It's an attractive thing for anybody, never mind youngsters, to think, what's that? And I imagine you go to schools as well and do the...
What I would say, I mentioned before that Belford Primary, all of those kids in that group became a High Sheriff for about 2 minutes each. They all they all got to wear the pendant, you see. Which
do you think that some of them have like what's the film, Robin Hood? Do you think they have that? Sheriff
well, I
of
tried to tell them about Robin Hood and the High Sheriff, the wicked High Sheriff of Nottingham, and they went, who's the High Sheriff of Nottingham? They haven't seen the film yet.
I guess that's a generational thing. We just assume that everybody's seen Kevin Costner.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, Kevin Costner has been very relevant recently with the Sycamore Gap.
Yes.
You know, and of course they filmed it wasn't Robin Hood, was it?
Boy in the Tree?
Prince of Thieves or whatever. There. And of course it's been cut down, and there's a lot of stuff going on in Northumberland. Charity set up on the back of that, really. So it's
just when you say that was my film and my go-to, and again, it's weird how we have these conversations. That was the reason I got into acting, because Alan Rickman was that great in that. And bring this Robin of Locksley to me, and I was like, I love that way that guy acted, and I watched that film.
My wife's favourite actor.
He was unreal, and he is a sad miss to the world as an actor, but he gave a lot, like yourself, did a lot for charity behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, such a rich voice, such ability, you know.
He would have been my go-to to voice over my books 100%. If he could have.
Professor Snape.
No, Potter. No, I had a wand in here earlier. I think I moved it. But like you say, like we've created a world here that we can. This is the studio. This is the podcast suite. It's a relaxed environment where people can come and get hijacked. We've hijacked the sheriff to come into a podcast. It's like, that's what we want to showcase to the world, is that there's people out there like yourself, like, I mean, we need to put ourselves in the bracket there, like the Berwick Youth Project and all the other places, but I think people are just they're a wee bit too scared to ask questions, and that's what we want to showcase. Like, how can you inspire people, not just for creativeness, but how can you inspire people to come out from behind the couch and ask the questions?
Yeah, I think ultimately you're often sat behind the couch, as you say, and expecting people to come and help you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've just got to think, well, maybe it should be the other way around. Maybe I can do a little bit for a mate, you know? And do you know how good that feels sometimes when you help out a mate? Well, you just multiply that a little bit more and you go and help out a lot of mates, and before you know it, you're helping out everybody, and you get a big buzz from that, actually. 100%. So it's maybe a little bit selfish. You get a lot of pleasure out of helping other people. And when you start to see it like that, you might think, well, actually, you know, gaming or watching the TV the whole time's actually, it's a bit boring. You know,
outside
even
world.
though we love Harry Potter.
Yeah,
you know.
it's the outside world. I call them TNTs. So it's tiny noticeable things, wee small explosions that you can even use, guys who are listening and watching. You just do one different thing. I'm an extremist. Before I called my autism, I wear colourful clothes to express myself and how I'm feeling that day. Like, because we're meeting you, I was excited. I'm wearing orange is my excited. I'm happy colour, but I also wear odd socks. So I'm wearing a yellow and orange one, and that is deliberate, because I always say the tiny noticeable things. If you do one thing different each day, it will change. So just in case I forget, I wear odd socks. So then I've done something different. So my theory and my thesis of doing that is still handing, and I've yet to be proven wrong. You know, not every day is a good day, but you can find the good in every day at some point. And and that's the way it is for me, but it's different for other people.
Check my socks. I've got them. It's usually because I've forgotten, not because I deliberately put the wrong ones on. You know. But
so what's it like? Like, I'm interested in young. Like, what was it like for you as a youngster? It's like, obviously you've taken a family business.
Farming, yeah. So you're very lucky living in the countryside, and it's just open territory for brilliant running around, fresh air. So you couldn't really ask for a better childhood, really. So I was very lucky, and those are my circumstances, you know. And not everybody is that lucky. Equally, the countryside is open to everybody. You know, if you want to get out there and go and walk in the Cheviots, for instance, and beautiful Northumberland, or along the beaches, you know, that's still really fresh air, and that's proper boys' own childhood fun, isn't it? You know, so you can get out there still, but you know, immersed in farming, you're busy, you're helping out. I was, you know, very lucky and blessed. So, you know,
I imagine so was your family, because you took it over, like doing the farming. So not every day, like where we come from in Ayrshire, is like, it's the same, open fields. There's trees, there's rivers, there's farms. So we grew up on farms, and it's like, and the people in the cities, they would love to swap sides with you. They would love to like take that, because they get that. What I'm trying to say is that you appreciate it. You appreciate it when you've got it. But sometimes people can just miss it, and you've obviously jumped on the chance. And
well, there's a great organisation, the Glendale. It's a Glendale show, but they also have the Glendale Countryside Day, and 1,700 children came to visit that a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, from all over Northumberland again, but mostly from Tyne and Wear, and they came to see what happens in Northumberland in the countryside and on farms. There are 80 different exhibitors, which they had cows. Not they weren't allowed to milk them, but they were there. There were sheep to handle. There weren't pigs there. There were chickens there. There were just a multitude of different rural businesses there, showing and demonstrating to these youngsters, you know, what rural life is all about, and access to it is actually easy. I appreciate, you know, the journey out into the countryside is expensive, but there are ways and means of getting out into the countryside and enjoying it, and seeing where your food comes from. Food security is so important, 100%. And eating healthily is getting more and more important with ultra processed foods hitting the headlines. You know, it's just not good for you.
Yeah.
So a vegetable's better. I'm just saying a vegetable's better for you.
Hey, as a neurodivergent, you know, processed foods are I mean, we can't help ourselves sometimes, but processed foods are a no-no because of what's in them. It's like, as a neurodivergent, it's like whatever they're making it. So we do support local produce and stuff. Like we've got a wee egg box that when we drive back through to Paxton, I go in there and I've got to get all my eggs, and you know, we support as much as we can. But you're right, you just like, that took me back to when I was a kid, like going running and being on the farms, and had a shot at the milking as well. Worked there. It was good. It wasn't much money, but it was good fun. And for somebody who doesn't like getting dirty, it was like, for that was a time you were giving yourself permission to get stuck in, and you were allowed to, like, you know, it expresses yourself at a very young age. And again, I was very, very lucky where I stayed that I could actually go in any direction. There would be fields or there would be somebody. But I guess I like that when farmers open the door. You can forget the even in Scotland you've got right away, as long as you're nice about it, you can cut through. But we met some interesting kids when we came to one of the schools, and they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I got to be a farmer. I'm like, oh, is your family farmers? No. I says, what attracts you to being a farmer? He's like, got a big Range Rover, you know, and I'm going to like shooting the birds. And I was like, and I go down, I says, and what about the cows and the dirt? Oh no, there'll be none of that. There'll be none of that. This was a young kid, and he's like, there'll be none of that in the farm.
Right.
But they end up, because there was a farmer in the room at the same time, and he was doing a presentation, and he changed his whole. So what I'm trying to say is, like, you meet somebody, and let's take that kid for instance. He's like, he had the vision. Because I imagine he's watched it on TV, and all of a sudden the farmer steps in, does the presentation and tells about this and how it's like, and calving and this, and then the next minute the wee boy's like that. I says, what do you think now? And he said, aye, I'll still be able to do all that. And you know, that's the thing. If he hadn't heard that wee story, would he still just be thinking that it was like, it's about fueling the dreams of the future people? I guess the same as the podcast.
Well, Clarkson's Farm, the television program, which I don't know if you watched, it's been brilliant and very illustrative of how farming can be. Naturally, Jeremy Clarkson puts his own spin on it, which you know is interesting and fun. And as a farmer, we laugh alongside him at the mistakes that actually some of us have made, but won't admit it. But he's prepared to admit it. So, which is, I think, is marvelous. I think it's brilliant. But you know, he portrays it really well. It's been great for farming and people's understanding of what farming is, and the weather related. You know,
the hardship that goes with
it. I mean, my daughter married a farmer, and he's a dairy farmer. Brilliant. And the trials and tribulations they have with this TB, and they wiped out nearly a third of their herd, and that was utter disaster. But they carry on with their organic farming and dairy farming and supply on farm a resident cheesemaker, and they make lovely cheeses. So it is rather good. But you know, they got close to having to stop. They really did because of TB. And
there was a lot. Even that when I was a young kid in the 90s. There was massive amounts of that, especially in Ayrshire. But like you say, and I like seeing all the farmers doing their thing and going their tractors and fighting, because if you don't fight for it, what's the point? How are these kids in the school? How are they going to know that that's what they want to do if there's no? Because it will take a step up, like houses and all the other stuff that are getting built on the land, and that's great. But then where's your food coming from? Like I really go down rabbit holes with this stuff, because it's like
I do too. And the other thing with it is the farmers are so well mechanised now. There are actually fewer jobs on the farm, and I think that's a great shame. I really do. I mean, of course, every business has got to try and practice efficiencies, haven't they? But ultimately, it means people have left the land, and as a result, there isn't a rural vote to help persuade Westminster, you know, to care about,
like a farmers' union, in it.
Well, there is a farmers' union, but you know, even so, there isn't necessarily the pressure of votes to persuade government to help, you know, in the rural areas. But anyway, that's a bit political for a High Sheriff. I'm not meant to be political, but there we go.
I don't normally get involved in politics, but when it comes to farming, like I know people who have lost their businesses through this, and they were good, kind people, and it's like, it's like it's. Like your family had a farm, so it was gone by the time we were born. But it's the same thing. It's like that happened through that. It's like it's a tough one. But I can foresee a future that'll bounce back.
I hope so. But the way things are going, it could mean that just the farms get bigger and bigger and bigger because cost exercises.
And it does. It comes down. We always say always comes back down to finances.
Yeah.
And everything boils down to money. For somebody who money doesn't make me go, people are who make me go genuinely 100%. If our motto is inspired to be inspired, that's where it came from. It came from meeting people who are genuinely inspired, can have normal conversations, don't get offended by like talking about farm, talking about this, talking about people, real genuine interests in the world. That's what we like. We like to inspire the generations who have yet to find themselves.
So I need to ask whether the plans...
The interview has changed. I've been interviewed. I knew this would happen.
What about... you paint a lot of rural scenes, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. So I love the... I'll tell you the truth. So when I moved down here 11 years ago, the skies... It didn't quite remind me of home, but it reminded me of this on an open, vast land where there's purples and reds and the colour that I had never experienced that. And Northumberland is known for that. You see the castles and the sky in the back, and I love it. I really, really love the muse that it gives you, or the hues, sorry. Yeah. But I also, during lockdown, I was on a farm. Yeah. So I was on Buckton Farm, and that inspired the book. So I'm the wee mouse in the book. We have rabbits, we have this, and without, again, it brings me back, again, it's not political, but it brings me back, without all that vegetation and the farmers doing their thing, these characters would be gone, but I seen them on the farm. And I'm quite as somebody who on the outside is very out, on the inside I'm very quite introvert. So I like seeing animals do, like I'll stop the car and I'll watch a hare running in the field, like not that one, because I've been working on that one there for nearly, it's got 100 hours in and I'm still nowhere near finished it.
Very impressive hair, you can't see it, but it's a very impressive hair.
But it's like without them, that's nobody's ever asked that question. That's why I chose animals for the book. Because as much as I don't get involved in politics, I have my own way of interpreting things. So I'm the most smallest insignificant character. I'm the wee mouse, and he goes on a journey. But there's 3 stories inside the story. So you have the story of the mouse, who is on this magical adventure where darkness chasing him. Then you have my sobriety story. So I got sober in July 2020, and I decided to start writing books. So you've got that in the form of a kid's book, and then you've got the way I write as a neurodivergent. So there's 3 forms inside the book. So it's quite nice that you're able to leave this wee part. So thanks for asking me that.
No, I haven't read it yet, but I will read it.
It's like how can you leave something when you constantly tell yourself, like you've just said, your son's now, and that would have made you immensely proud because you could tell when you were saying it.
Yeah, I'm proud because he's doing it so much better than I did.
So he's humble as well. But that in itself, that's a testament to you. And it's the exact same as what we're doing. Is like if I don't tell kids that, or in that book, and it's animals and this and that, and then I'm not doing my job as a human. We're not just here to procreate and die. There's that bit in between. Some of us get to be High Sheriff for a wee while.
One year only. Yeah.
But it's an interesting place.
You get to make a difference.
You can tell with somebody like yourself who grew up in these areas that you're proud of where it is.
Yes.
And it's like, it's a lush, green, magical place for me. Yes. So I am totally inspired. Again, I shouldn't really say it, but there's a whole line of new books come because I am totally impressed with this place and how it is in Kelso.
So we heard it here first.
You heard it here first. There's this set of book, and then there's another set of books through in Ayrshire. So we are going to be really busy.
You are.
But here's the best part. I'm going to be asking people what it is, if they can help along the way, because the journey's not about me. The journey is about the other people, ideas, and you've no idea. We put a wee thing out there on social media, and it exploded. Hundreds of messages, DMs and stuff, and they're very interested in getting their wee parts in the book. And I am a man of my word, and it will happen. And that's the way we're going to go forward. So I've committed myself to a lot of time.
Difficult to weave everybody in. How do you do that?
We meet them in coffee shops. We meet them in, and again, if you put stuff out there, don't be scared. We're always talking about the risk. Like George will have had to take an element of risk of going, oh my God, I'm going to be the Sheriff of Northumberland. And that's an impressive part. You have to take the risk. But there's coffee shops saying, you could come and use our coffee shop, come there.
Yeah.
That to me just tells me I'm on the right path. That people are willing to say, come and sit in there and write, and obviously they get business, but the fact is that they're opening the doors for us to come, and people can come, like we interviews and get involved, and that's what we're going to bring to Northumberland.
Brilliant.
We do not stop there. It's like,
fantastic.
But you've contributed already by just coming and being. Who's to say there won't be a small sheriff of Northumberland in the book?
A mini sheriff.
By
Absolutely.
just being contributed into the podcast and stuff. We did hijack George. George came to visit, and I thought, right, this man's an interesting guy. Hopefully he says yes. I had my cue board ready at the side there. I was like, but the universe, and you said yes, and it's like we will.
When I woke up this morning, I didn't think I'd be doing this,
and that's why we didn't tell you.
That's a
I
good
think,
thing.
I was like, if we tell him, maybe
I thought about it.
It'll give you too many times. But the natural effect of two guys sitting in there, finding commonality, on a bright coloured lit couch, where we've created a world that didn't exist until we started to do this. So what's the future roles in your 12 months?
Okay, so the main one now is an award ceremony that we're going to hold in March, and it has habitually been at the Playhouse in Alnwick. This autumn, I know I keep saying that, but it was March, wasn't it? Lucia Bridgman, the previous High Sheriff, she got Alexander Armstrong from Pointers to award all the prizes,
That's right, I did see that.
It was amazing.
Yes,
he was fantastic.
And we've actually, sorry to cut you off, I've met some of the kids, and I'm sure Deborah was there.
She might have been, yes.
Yeah, that is a very impressive thing.
Yeah.
These kids were inspired.
I bet they were. I mean, Alexander Armstrong is a brilliant. Yeah. He's a fantastically intelligent and funny guy, and so everybody wants to meet him. So, how fantastic was that? And Lucia was a fabulous High Sheriff. She really was. And so. Yeah, there's a tall order. Who are we going to get? Kevin Costner? I don't know.
Yeah, get Kevin Costner. I'll cut over there for Kevin Costner.
He might come and visit the
Sycamore. And I get to tell him, I'll say, you're one of my favourite actors, but I like you.
Can't get Alan Rickman, sadly. But anyway. So it's not one-upmanship. It's about making it special for everybody as best we can. We're lucky in as much that my wife's niece, Zara Lachlan, she rode across the Atlantic. Solo, unsupported, from mainland Europe to mainland South America, and it meant she was the first lady to do it.
I think I've seen that in
the youngest person to do it as well.
Wow.
She wasn't the fastest person to do it, because there's a lad who did it 17 hours quicker, only 17 hours quicker when it's weeks and weeks at sea. But she did brilliant. So I'm hoping, Zara, if you're watching, that you can come along and present the awards in March. We haven't got a date yet, but that's a significant thing.
I did see that. We actually spoke about it. That length, and I did say that the people. So Zara, for me, absolutely well done. The mental strength you have for doing that is second to none. Absolutely second to none. Again, I would never even confess to knowing what that's like.
Enjoying your own company, I think.
Exactly. But being there, because I've been in that moment, knowing you have to do that and get up, and the fear, all that stuff. But that would be a great follow up.
Without telling too many tales, I know she had some very close calls, and I'll leave that for the award ceremony for her to tell everybody. But if she can come, but she's incredibly brave to do that. So hopefully she can come. So that's one of the events. My installation was probably the biggest event I've had so far, and then we had a fundraiser last Sunday. I met the Queen. I met the Queen at Hexham Abbey when she came along to open a stand at the racecourse nearby. So that was that was a highlight. Wow. Wonderful. And what else have we got? We got legal services that we do. So we have one at St Nicholas's in Newcastle, and that is the start of the legal year. So all the judges, all the magistrates come to St Nicholas's, and we host that. And then as High Sheriff of Northumberland, I get to go to the York Legal Service, which is really impressive, and going to Durham as well. So those are sort of little highlights things you must
Brilliant.
do. But in actual fact, it's visiting all the wee organisations and small charities around the country, and just seeing how brilliant they are, and interacting with young people. I mean, ultimately, our young people are the most important people, aren't they? Yeah, they're the future.
100%.
They are the future,
100%.
and so setting them up with great educations and everything they could possibly want, in order that they can contribute back to society, and not fall into mischief. Obviously, we really don't want that. So if people have got something, whatever it is, whether it's marbles or ping pong or it might be PlayStation, but if anything like that is occupying folk, and ultimately we want them to give back as well. Like, you know,
I mean, even that there, it's like you just said it. You hit the nail on the head. It's like I always wonder when we get to the middle of the interview, is like what is it? Why is George sitting there? And it's like, paying it forward. Always pay everything you mentioned there, paying it forward, and that's what you're doing. You're paying it forward to these kids, and you're asking those kids and adults
to do the same.
To pay it forward.
So
while we're on camera, like, we will happily give a donation. We've got prints we can give you. We've got we'll hook you up with some stuff. We've also got a wee goodie bag that's for you though. Before you go, okay. That's why I enticed them with a goodie bag before we got on my podcast. But it's
so
like,
if I'd said no, I wouldn't have got the goodie bag.
You'd sell it. I painted that wee goodie bag for you yesterday. It's hand painted.
Is it?
I was working hard yesterday. But it's nice to see that the paying forward thing is massive for us. Like, I sit in, we're often in Alnwick, and I sit in cafes, and I'm socially awkward with myself, and it's loud, it's noisy, and I paint lovely wee paintings, and I write nice wee words on them, and I give them away. People don't know that you're struggling, and believe it or not, we've gave away about 3,500 of those in 5 years, giving them away, and they always find the right people, including like the girls in Costa and Alnwick. They're always really good to us, and I leave some for them and let them give them it, and they always say finds the right people.
That's a wonderful
Just be
thing
kind,
to do.
innit?
Yes,
Some people never find the fact is that this is how we conduct it and how we do it. So it's right that we come on and we tell people, doesn't matter how you do it, you can still pay it forward in a sense. Doesn't need to be that. Everybody seems to think it's money. It can be your time, it can be your knowledge. You know, I'm always that's the two things that I'm always on about, is your knowledge is key, but also your time. Like, you've gave your time to us today, so it's right that I pay it forward, and I've completed the circle, or I wouldn't be a man of my word. And that's what it's like for me as a human being.
You know, you talk about all the different things one can do in life, and you know, I've 1 year of High Sheriff, and isn't that great? You know, we're born and we die, and what happens in between is so important. You know, and I think you go on super fast. You know, with the giving back. You know, those little things will make such a difference to those people. And if we can all do a little bit, even 1 nano% of what you're doing, would be great.
It always comes back. I always say to people, even the negative, because I imagine there'll be negative in what you do, whether it be the farming or the High Sheriff or the weather.
For farmers as well, isn't it?
But the negative things, if you don't ride through that, you're not learning. Like I said earlier, if you go too quickly to the top, two things you need to do. One, you need to remember every day as you go up, because on the way back down, they're either going to help you or they're just going to go, there you go. And the other thing is that you just need to be kind as you go along, because the what you learn in those bad points is that you're learning more, because you're having to work twice as hard. It's the same as if a negative person joins you. You always ask yourself, what's your part to play in that? They're negative, no you don't need to be there in the conversation, but get up and walk away, or stay there and be there. I don't know, it's one of life's wee mysteries.
Don't meet many negative people, but you can't walk away, can you? It's, you know,
I say that, but it is very hard.
It is hard, you know. You know, you can't just turn around and walk off. You know, so.
Bye bye.
Yes, you're being negative. Do you call them out? What's the right way and wrong way of dealing with that? You know,
I'm a feelings person, so I try not to call people out. I try and show them the error of their ways by them leading themselves in. But
you just say that's negative. Let's talk about positive stuff, and they go, oh.
Or I thought that quick, and I've done it to you loads of times. Like because I'm ADHD, I'm literally jumping in, And sometimes I kind of use that, and I'm like, right, okay, and then do it, and I'm like, and they forget the negative. So it's like that's like maybe a wee life hack. So it's been interesting. It's been interesting talking to you, and I really appreciate you for giving us your time.
Yeah.
If you were to give, I've never asked this on the show. Then I'm going to ask you. I think this would be a great one. So
I'm even more on the edge of my seat.
yeah. So if you could give me 5 things that you're grateful for right now, what would they be?
Well, family. It's got to be top, isn't it?
Yeah.
Health. Sort of. Bad cough, I think. But yeah. Walking those stairs.
Yes.
I suppose the political situation needs to just dial down a little bit in terms of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And I genuinely appreciate. This sounds like I want world peace, and I'm going to become
These are your 5 things you're grateful for.
Beauty pageant lady, but and that's interesting. A good harvest, I suppose.
Good,
nice weather for harvest. I mean,
it's
we get selfish along
way,
those. Yes, I hope so. But
there's
nothing worse than constant rain when all your crops are ready and they just go flat on you, you know, and then you've got to find how to pay for sowing everything again that autumn, and you know. Anyway,
it's a tough cycle.
All farming
it's
stuff.
a tough cycle.
And one more, you know,
go for it.
Constant happiness all around the world.
Yeah,
beauty pageant.
This man's for world peace. He has our vote. Like, but you're right. It's like even when I say to people that give me. If I say to kids, I say give me 3 things that you're thankful for, and it's nice to hear the heartwarming things that they are. Some of them's materialistic, and that's all right. Some of them are heartfelt, and it's like to nice and hear stuff that if somebody doesn't say that when you're on the podcast or you're out there doing it, it's like you say it then. So it's like it's about transferring the knowledge to say to somebody, well, what's your 5 things? Because you can kind of gauge how that person is or how they're feeling on the day.
Yes.
So it's like a wee tiny gift.
Yes, and important just to hijack yourself with that question you asked me. What are the 5 most important things? And it will tell you a little bit about your mood, won't it?
It
and
does.
if your mood is a bit miserable, you'll give 5
100%.
miserable answers.
100%. Don't tell the team that though, because I asked them like that, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just gauging because if as somebody who's leading for the front, if they are feeling a bit low and they give away low, then it's like right, okay, my team are the most important people to me. So then it's like right, socks and shoes off, and we'll go and stand in the grass, and we'll go to, if we're at Paxton, we'll just stand there. Some of them do it, some of them don't.
Great idea.
But go to the beach. Me and Jan like going to the beach and inspiring, and they're the things, you know. Like we are humbly thankful these are on the doorstep. But like I said, to bring it right round, the people in the cities don't have that on their doorstep. They need to travel for it. So take it while it's there, because you don't know. As long as you only get one day at a time.
Yes.
And you get 24 hours. George gets 24 hours. I get 24 hours. All you guys get 24 hours. What are you doing with your 24 hours? Because I know what I'm doing with mine's. And I'm like a farmer. I'm up at 4 a.m. because I like the sun. I like the beach. I like to sit. It's like because there's nobody else around, and I feel that I get the world to myself for a tiny short space of time until the guy with his dog walks along. But he's always there.
But I like the inspiration of just taking his socks and shoes off and standing in the grass for a bit, because we all go at 100%, you know, the whole time. Work makes you do that. But I don't think you're necessarily so productive if you're going at 100 miles an hour the whole time. Just to have that wee little break, take your socks and shoes off, reset yourself, and you're probably going to be much more productive
100%
thereafter, aren't you? You know, and if in a way, I mean, I say it's lovely in the countryside and everything like that, but you know, harvest, you're going at 100%, and it gets on top of you. You can do, but just take that little moment off. Everybody down till stop. We're gonna just take a moment, make all the difference.
And you need to, because what happens if you don't get another day and you're boxed in and you're sitting in, and like, even when I'm sitting in here and I'm painting, it's like I practice what I preach. I'm like, right, let's go, Jan, let's go somewhere. So normally we go, because I've got a fascination with the Abbey. There's a wee garden there, and I've got socks and shoes off and just stand.
You do live in a wonderful spot.
It's such a great
spot.
place. I just think that if we don't tell people that, and I know there'll be some people like, weirdos, don't they? But we weren't born with socks and shoes, do you know what I mean? It's a fact of life. You cannot argue with me. You weren't born with socks and shoes. Now, I'm not asking you to take your clothes off and go stand outside, but it's like, you're not born with socks and shoes. Try it and let us know what you think.
Yes.
Do you have any words or last words of wisdoms for the watchers?
Well, I think most of the watchers are very wise already, And whether I'm capable of offering new pearls of wisdom, I don't know. I think we've encompassed quite a lot of things which help make us tick, and if it chimes with someone else, so much the better. But ultimately, I think just smile at a person when they walk past you.
Yeah,
Say hi.
That's it. And I think we said in another podcast, I like that, George. Actually, that's why you're the right man for this interview. It's like, ask people. Please ask people how they're doing. As a neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, yes, I know everybody, I constantly mention that. But I mention it so that the people who are like me can see that there's a guy out there who's like them and doing. And I make mistakes. But ask people how they're doing. How are you doing today? It's not, don't be too selfish and offload, because people like us, we implode when you offload onto us. It's like information dump. Just ask them how they're doing. I put that to the test to you. Randomly message somebody and say, how are you doing today? That's it. And it is always just a suggestion. It is not a request. I don't request anything for people, but please give it a wee try if you can. So, George, we have one last thing for you to do.
Right.
It does involve taking socks and shoes off. So, if you can put your hand inside her head and pick one of these out.
Okay.
And what number did you get?
1.
Number 1. So that's yours. You take that away with you. So number 1 is George. We'll tell you when we get to number 10 what that is. And aye, that's your wee mouse.
Wee mousey.
Aye. And I'll tell you a wee secret about these mice when we're off camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but for myself and the team, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do extend it to people, and we don't always hijack them for a podcast, but we do invite people to come and see what we're doing. And not everybody comes. I think in the last 6-7 months, I think less than 10. So thank you very much for being one of them.
You're missing out.
So come and see what we're up to. But honestly, it's been interesting meeting. I know we'll meet up again, and then we'll find out what you think of our tea as well. So guys, before we go, this is it, and you'll probably be sick of me hearing this, but we don't get any funding for what we do, so we rely on you going over to jagar82.com. Check out what we've got. Listen, we do custom clothes, custom shoes, custom bags. We've got loads of stuff. We've got something for your mammy, your granny, your sister, your brother, your mother. Please go. And that's how we fund it. Genuinely. If you want to see my bank account, I can show you. Go on there and have a wee look. And if there's something that you like, then you can purchase it and help us out. This is how we fund it. That's us. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for another episode coming soon. Thank you very much, George.
Pleasure. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.